showers in the afternoon. Sunday night, south winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas around.
Day one of the 2016 UFC, and we're headed out of Tampa Bay. Right now we're doing about 6.5 knots, headed towards Passage Key. I've got Teak and Cocoa Petal just ahead of me there in their trimaran. Chainsaw and Swamp Monkey and their Tornado, they're already out of the horizon. They're way up there, and I can see the Franken boat down there with the red spinnaker. He's flying. Over here I've got a windsurfer and another windsurfer and a bunch of boats, and back there you can see a whole fleet of OBAIs and TIs. I seem to be a little bit faster than them, and we're coming up on Passage Key here in about, I don't know, a couple miles, and we'll make the turn left and start headed towards checkpoint 1. We'll try to check in every now and again and give you some good video. So we've just come around Passage Key, rounded the corner out into the open water now. We're still doing about 6 knots, and I've got Gadget Girl here in front of me in her Weta trimaran. Some current coming through that little cut. I was doing 6 knots, but it felt like 8. But the boat handled it all right. And we got a windsurfer behind me. That's the Getaway Coastie and Clam Counter by the beach. And then if you look back into the cut, oh, there's a ton of boats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21 at least, maybe more. We're doing 7.6 knots, 7.4 knots. We got in the flat water now, and we got some good wind, so we're really making some good progress here, and we're hoping to I'm hoping to continue that right on to checkpoint 1. This is SOS. We're about 2 hours in. We're getting passed by this trimaran here. I passed them earlier, but they finally caught up to me. They're going fast with their spinnaker up. Yeah, they'll beat me to CP1, but they got a big boat. So we're still doing well here. We're averaging about, I'd say, 5 knots. It jumps between 5 and 6, and then occasionally we get up to 7. There's still a big fleet back there coming out of the cut to get them to come outside. In front of me we've got Coastie and Clam Counter. These guys here on the big try. There's a monohull up there. I'm not sure what that is. It might be a Lightning. And then we've got Gadget Girl in the Weta, Cocoa Petal and Teak behind her. And over here, one of the windsurfers, I'm not sure if that's Bermuda Boy. I think it might be the other one. I can't remember his name. I might be able to see that Frankenboat way off ahead, but he's pretty small at this point, and I'm sure I don't see the Tornado or Randy Smythe. I actually never saw him, so either he is still on the beach or he's way up there. But there's the fleet. I'd say they're about 15 minutes behind me, maybe not quite that much. The Amas are doing well. Boat is doing well. I'm doing well. SOS out. There goes a thistle. Look like they're doing pretty well. And we've been doing about 4 knots for the past half hour or so. And I've taken the seat out of my boat. The seat lives up there now, so I'm totally sitting on the bottom of the boat, my backrest, so I'm in more of a reclined position, which is very comfortable. And I can steer with my foot pedals here. I also have a tiller stick, which is a push-pull tiller if I get tired of steering with my feet. Also, I've found that the boat holds course pretty well, so I can usually set it on course and not have to adjust it very much. You can see the Sea Pearl behind me. I wonder if that's Jarhead. I think that might be Jarhead. He's got a little cockpit tent. We'll see. If he passes me, we'll get some video. It's about 10:30. I just got passed by 2 Sea Pearls. The one in the front is Jarhead. He's flying his mizzen staysail and doing his best to keep ahead of this Canadian guy who just passed me. And he has a small spinnaker off of a topper sailboat. He got a wrap on the halyard, so he couldn't hoist it all the way, but he's doing his best to catch Jarhead. And it's 11, just past 11. The wind is lightened up, and I'm motor sailing, trying to catch up to Jarhead. I've made some progress on him already. I'm doing between 2 and 3 knots if I stop paddling, and then with paddling I get up to about 4.5, sometimes over 5 if I get a good little breeze. So Jarhead, as soon as he saw I was catching up to him, he pulled out his oars and he's rowing. So I'm catching him slower now. The other Sea Pearl did end up passing him, it looks like, but he's not too far off. It's 11:30 and I caught up with Jarhead. He's trying to catch the other Sea Pearl. He's got his staysail up and he's rowing now because he was trying to stay ahead of me. And he's keeping on course with lines to his tiller. We're doing about 4 knots right now, and we don't see any boats behind us, so to speak, so we're probably the last in the first wave of boats that'll get to CP1, hopefully before dark. So we got 28 miles to Stump Pass now. Okay, it's almost 1:30 in the afternoon, and the wind has filled back in a little bit out of the west-northwest, or excuse me, north-northwest. And Jarhead is back there running wing on wing. I've been paddling just to catch some swells, which is working well. I just hit 8 knots a second ago. The other Sea Pearl is out on the horizon there. Okay, we're about 15 miles from Stump Pass. Wind has picked up. It's blowing a steady, I'd say 12, gusting to 15 maybe. I've caught up to the second sea squirrel. He's out there, and Jarhead is now behind me a little ways. And up ahead I can see a windsurfer and a red spinnaker. I'm not sure who the red spinnaker belongs to. But we've been doing some good surfing. In this swell, I put a reef in the sail just because I was a little overpowered. I just didn't need the extra sail. So I've been using the paddle just to help me get up on a wave. And the GPS said I hit 11 knots, but the highest I've ever seen so far is 9.5. But I don't know, we're doing pretty well, so I'm not too worried about it. The Amas are doing well. I have experienced twice now, if the Ama gets stuck into the wave just right, it'll drag and it won't pop out. I did a lot of thinking about where to put the pivot point aft of the center of buoyancy of the Ama to make sure that wasn't going to happen. It's not a problem 99% of the time, it seems, only when it hits a wave just right. All the other times it seems to want to pitch up. One thing I'm thinking about doing maybe is adding a little foil at the top of the stem of the Ama that would just be pitched up just ever so slightly, and if the Ama buried in a wave, that would cause the bow of the Ama to want to fly up out of the water. I don't know, we might play around with that in Key Largo. I've got some epoxy with me. We'll see how it goes. For now, everything's going pretty good. Okay, it's 5:03 and we're now inside Stump Pass. We're about 1.25 miles from checkpoint 1. Stump Pass was a little tricky. There was a very narrow channel this year, so it was hard on the nose, past the sandbars, and so there was a lot of paddling required. I couldn't get any video. Jarhead and the other sea pearl were right behind me, so they should be in soon. I'll be at checkpoint 1 in the next 15 minutes or 20 minutes. I'm planning to just dry out some of my stuff, take my dry suit off, let it dry out a bit. I had my dry suit off earlier because I was paddling, so I got a little wetness inside of it. And I think I'm going to make a small modification to my Amas. I'm going to try to add a little spoon bill to the very bow. I may have said that earlier. It seems to only be an issue when I'm going over 8 knots and the skin friction on the bow of the Ama just pulls it down and it can't come free. So we're going to add a little hydrodynamic helper and see if that clears it up. As you can see, in light air it's no problem, and even up to 6 knots, 7 knots, no problem. But when you get into the heavy surfing conditions that we had today, it did happen to me about 3 times, and I didn't like it. So we're gonna add some little spoon bills on there. This is SOS. It's now, what time is it? It is 8:14. We left the checkpoint 1 at about 6:45. We were there for about 1 hour and 15 minutes. Put a little lifting spoons on the front of the Amas, so we're going to try that out hopefully tomorrow. I'm blinding myself here. We're headed into Pine Island Sound. Hopefully make some progress tonight before we camp. And Teak and Cocoa Pedal, I heard while I was at the checkpoint, they came back out here and tried to put up their spinnaker and broke their mast in half. So I think they're somewhere on Big Marco Island, hoping to get prepared. And Graham should be right behind me. He was coming into the checkpoint right as I was leaving. And so we're going to try to get to the bottom of Pine Island Sound today, if we can, before we camp. Dawn at Sandy Bottom and Micro Tom, last I heard, were around Venice Inlet. I don't know if they're planning to camp or go through the night to the checkpoint. Probably to the checkpoint.
I had to make a big pile of crap because I brought too much stuff and didn't have anywhere to put it. My paddles and my life jacket are all strapped to the boom. And I had to sleep with my shoes and stuff. But overall, not so bad actually. Probably not so great if it was raining, but it was a clear night, and this is a really calm anchorage. I can see, I think that's a water triber down there, that red trimaran. And so this is York Island, at the bottom of Pine Island Sound. And I pulled up in here, I pulled up about 2 o'clock, well maybe 1:45 I think, can't remember when I hit my spot. Okay message, and I finally got my tent set up by about 2:30. You can see my life jacket crap up there. And we're gonna get moving here, I think. The sun just came out, so it's start getting warm. It's pretty cold. I'd say it's like, feels like it's about 58.
We're underway on day 2. I got everything packed up, and I just left just before 8 a.m. So we're headed for the bridge at the bottom of Pine Island Sound. It's just before 8 o'clock. It's 3¼ miles to the bridge, and I'm on a beam reach. We cleared the bridge, and we're headed south. I've got a waypoint set for Stump Pass, or excuse me, for Caxambus Pass. And I see some sails up ahead, not sure who it is. We hugged the north side of the lower part of Pine Island Sound, and I went under the easternmost bridge span, which I have never done before. But the water's much flatter over here. And I didn't want to get stuck down by that lighthouse and have it be blowing 15. It is blowing a steady 15 right now. I'm in the lee of this land, but it was getting choppy in the sound. So I expect the wind to build once I get farther from the bridge. Is that an inflatable lounge chair? No fair! This is SOS. Day 3 of the Everglades Challenge, Ultimate Water Challenge. It's a little after 9 on Monday, and we video I made, I think, was coming towards Marco Island, and the wind died, and rough, nasty chop. But we finally got into there, caught up with Jarhead right at Caxambas Pass, and after we went through the pass, he took the left leg and I took the right leg, and I ended up ahead of him, but I had a slightly more upwind course to get to Indian Key. I tried to use my hiking seat, my hiking board that is, and it was working good, and I was actually able to sail directly for Indian Key, and then I cracked my cockpit combing. This area right here on the inside, it's got a crack, but it's not bad. It's not all the way through. It just means I can't use my hiking board right now until I fix it, which I'll probably do in Key Largo. But anyway, the wind shifted, so I actually didn't really need the hiking board, and I was able to make Indian Key pass on one tack pretty easily. And then we caught the best current possible coming into checkpoint 2. The current was about 2.5 knots all the way into Indian Key Pass, which is actually a little scary. You had to make sure you didn't get pushed into any markers, because you kind of only get one shot at it. But we got into checkpoint 2 at 10:50 p.m. and I signed the logbook and got right back underway. There was nobody awake there. I think Mr. Moon and Zero the Hero 17 was anchored on the shore there. I didn't notice any other boats, and I didn't see Jarhead, but I left right away. And my plan was to camp on Rabbit Key, which is right there where I just left from. But I got there and it was high tide, and the beach was kind of sharp shells and stuff, and I knew I was going to be high and dry in the morning, so I decided to just anchor out. I was looking forward to sleeping in a tent, but I made the boat work again. I had to lash everything to the top of the boom, and I managed to get it done. It was a little more wet in the boat than last night, but I sponged out as best I could, and we had a dry night's sleep. And I didn't set an alarm, so I woke up at 8:30 and I was underway at right now it's 9:15. So we're just cruising out of the lee of Rabbit Key here, and looks like the wind's picking up. We're going to put our spray deck on and suit up and get ready to roll down to the Cape. So we're going to go outside today and haul ass down to Flamingo. So Wes, signing out. Take long. I'm in the open and it's blowing like stink. It's a steady 15. I've already got the first reef in, and there's a lot of spray. You know, it's not fun going upwind in this boat, but I'm trying to sail smarter, not harder, and stay in the lee of as many of these little keys as I can. I'm headed, that's Pavilion Key up ahead. I'm going to wrap around that, try to get in some flat water. I don't know if I want to do this all day. I think I might see what all the fuss is about the Wilderness Waterway. Maybe I'll go in at Shark River, which is about 25 miles from here, and make my way to Flamingo that way. I've never done the Wilderness Waterway before. And I'm finally in the race in a boat that could do it, so I might as well. So I think I'm going to give that a shot. I did see an epic sea kayak earlier this morning before I shoved off. I have not seen him since, but they're really hard to spot. It's 4:47 on Monday. I'm about 3 miles from the Shark River entrance, and the plan is gonna head into Shark River and try to cut the corner because it's blowing pretty hard out of the east, and I don't really want to do this all night. So hopefully I can save some time by doing that. I might have to take the rig down, of course, to get to Flamingo. That's about it. I've been getting soaked, and the spray cover's working well. I've got one reef in now because I'm on more of a reach now, and I'm learning how to sail the boat. It's important not to be oversheeted because you just bury the ama, and it's been a fun day so far. Hopefully I can get to Flamingo before, I'm gonna say before midnight. That would be nice. We'll see. This is SOS. It's a little before 9 o'clock on Tuesday, the day 4 of the EC / UFC. And I've been sailing upwind here out of checkpoint 3 for the last 30 minutes or so. I got into the checkpoint at about 2:30 in the morning, and I slept for maybe 3.5 hours. It actually started drizzling, so I went ahead and set up my tent. We came down Whitewater Bay, and I anchored in the Shark River to try to wait out the last of the ebb tide, and Iron Bob and the Juice caught up to me, and I was trying to sleep in my dry suit. The mosquitoes were eating me alive, and so they gave me some bug spray, which is really nice. Thanks, guys. And I later passed them in Whitewater Bay. They got to the checkpoint about 35 minutes after I did, and they were gone when I woke up. They were already out of there. I was beat. But I think they were really trying to catch one of those kayaker guys really fast. So this morning the GPS wasn't working, so I have to switch to backup GPS number 1. I still have now 2 GPSs. We'll see if that first one dries out maybe, or I don't know what was wrong with it. It just wouldn't turn on. I gave it fresh batteries. It didn't like that. What else can you do for a GPS? So we're tacking up Tin Can Channel, doing about 2 knots VMG. I can still see Flamingo right there. I've been doing a lot of paddling. My ass is kind of sore. Yesterday I did a lot of paddling. I probably need to slow down a bit. I'm not pushing myself too hard. I'm planning to leave Flamingo, assuming I make it to Flamingo, tomorrow, early, maybe mid to early morning. I'm going to give myself a full night's sleep. I want to do a little repair on the boat, fix that cockpit combing that I cracked with the kneeboard. there, hopefully, fingers crossed, by between 9:30 and 10. It's been blowing crazy all day. It's still a steady 12 to 15. I'm double reefed. I've got the boat footed off to keep my speed up, and I'm able to make about 2.5 to 3 knots BMP still. But it's a wet ride, so I'll be glad when I'm there. I just spotted the flashing light towers. I'm really happy about that. Those are really close to the finish line, so that just gives you something to look at. The finish line is dead upwind, so I'll be tacking the whole way. And the sun's just gone down. So I've probably got about 20-30 more minutes of flight here. But I think we're in good shape.